What's up, weaves? Welcome back to Anime Lane. As always, I'm real Notorious. Joining once again today is Shaun.
Hiya.
And Melina.
What is up, my forgotten potties?
You forgot.
I have forgotten to do this for a few episodes, I think.
thought
We
I
were
was
talking
free.
about it earlier,
I thought I was free.
and I was like, oh my god. I can feel in my bones.
For context, on the train over here to where we usually record, we just sort of stared at each other for a second, then suddenly you just go, I forgot to do What's Up Parties.
Like the last 2 recording sessions.
I thought I was free.
You fucking weren't.
No, I don't know what happened. How did I must have just been so tired one day that I forgot.
Yeah.
And then it just...
I mean, you have been pretty busy in the last lead up to the last few
yeah.
recordings.
Yeah.
That's no excuse for forgetting my potty.
No.
She was letting it sit so it would be more painful to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna mention it. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And
As
just
soon as
see
you
it.
looked at me, I was like, oh no.
she's gonna
She
fucking-
remembered.
The brain cells hit her.
I suddenly look around at like Melina and I see this smile and I was like, oh god.
Not now.
Not now, in the very serious episode.
Alright, so today, we're gonna just kind of rant about the TV industry and movies as well, I guess. But I think TV's like the big
Yeah.
Yeah.
mainly. Because the TV industry's kind of
What's
fucked
happening?
right
A little
now.
bit fucked up, yeah.
From series taking like 3 years to just have another season to there not really being a lot of interesting shit coming out.
To episode counts just sort of getting like fewer and fewer as the years go by.
As the budgets fucking climb up and up, and
Yeah.
you don't really feel like you're seeing a lot of that on screen.
No, they're just like, let me make a short film, and then another short film, and then another, and then they're kind of connected. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Episode lengths is another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels like the fucking rise. I was yawning and I was trying to speak and it came out as a
I thought you were gonna like cough or burp or something. You start yawning, and I'm like, what?
We take personal offense to this.
Will you guys hurry this along? Anyway, it feels like the rise of fucking mini-series is everywhere.
Yeah.
Instead of like actual like TV shows.
Mm-hmm. And the actual art of miniseries is sort of like ebbing away.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like limited series. Like, we've got a season, that's it.
Yep.
That's it. I feel like we used to get them much more.
Mm-hmm.
The one example is coming to mind, Queen's Gambit. It was there,
Yeah.
it was good, and it was left alone.
Yep.
And I love it, because you just watch it and you're done.
Yeah.
No one's like, what about this other character? What if we give him a show?
What about this mentor character that has a huge backstory that we really telegraphed in this one episode that's actually a backdoor pilot?
Hey, we tricked you.
Watch it. Watch
Yeah.
more. Never stop watching.
Yeah, what if we just give you more content?
Yeah.
Don't you want more?
Keep watching, but also wait like half a decade between our shows.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is it. It's like there's a push for contentification of everything.
Yeah.
And yet the wait between everything keeps getting longer, which sort of defeats the point of contentification. Because
Yeah.
the point of contentification is more.
Keep you in the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have stuff constantly on the go.
Yeah.
People are watching, people are engaging. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or whatever.
Yeah, just like repeat like forever
Uh-huh.
basically because there's so much stuff. It's again it's like the Friends thing where like that's 10 seasons over 10 years of 23, 24 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like constantly overall, and that was fast turnaround because it was like a break every like for a few months, and
Yeah.
then they would just keep going on. That's like a classic. We call it now classic sitcoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like we can look back at it and recognize it was probably not the healthiest.
No.
And we're all for, actors, directors, any creative person in the industry having those breaks. But, there are ways to go about it
Yeah.
that don't take either forever
Mhm.
or too short.
Yeah. But also some of it's not even like giving the actors a break. It's like the actual pre-production or the green lighting of a season or the navigation of like prepping a season just takes fucking forever now.
Yeah.
Because like The Last of Us, which just finished airing its second season, it was pretty much confirmed even before season 2 aired. There was going to be a season 3, and then when season 2 started airing, HBO confirmed third season.
Yeah.
And then you're listening to like the second last episode's podcast, because they do like a podcast episode for each episode of the show as it comes out. And you're listening to it, and like Craig Mazin, the lead writer, is like, we haven't even started writing season 3 yet. And I'm like,
Why not?
what do you mean? Why haven't you?
Yeah.
You got greenlit. You would have known you were greenlit before anyone else did. So
least
why
start some
haven't you?
outline.
Make a
Yeah.
draft, yeah.
Like, I 100% take some time. As Ray's, it's just fucking important. Take your time. But then you've got to just sit down and at least be like, okay, this season, I mean, you have source material, so of course it takes a little less time. But still, get those beats out.
Yeah.
Get those episode outlines out. Don't fucking worry about the dialogue. Comes later.
Yeah.
Fuck
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But get those things done just so your production can then move on and be like, okay, set-wise, we know what we need to prep.
Yep.
We need to know what we need to inform our actors with. And
Get the gears going at least,
Yeah.
because again, to go back to that friend sort of setup, it used to. This might not be exact. I saw this on like just internet discussions and stuff. So big grain of salt.
Yeah.
And this is obviously coming through my mouth, and my brain filters through like information like a fucking garbage like compactor.
Yeah.
So a huge grain of salt. But from what I understand, it used to be season of a show comes out. After a few episodes, the studio sort of gets an idea on if it's like
Yeah.
popular enough for a green light. Gets green light, and then as the rest of that season's coming out, you're prepping the next one,
Yeah.
writing, getting ready, getting the sets ready. If it's the season of the show, you can reuse sets and
Yeah.
stuff, but you have all that prep, and then you're filming episodes basically as they're already going.
Yeah.
So like as episode 1 of a new season comes out, you're still producing maybe like like a few more episodes in, and then like to the last of it, and then the cycle continues. It's a fast turnaround,
Yep.
and you are kind of constantly working, which is why I understand why bigger breaks have become a thing.
Yeah.
But not like 3 or 4 years.
No.
For a series that's only 6 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, like the
Yeah.
fact that Game of Thrones could air 10 episodes every year on
Their
huge
budget.
budgets, locations, sets spread all across the world, all these actors, and yet The Last of Us can't
Yeah.
on shorter
Yeah.
episode count and arguably less actors.
Yeah. Well,
mean-
yeah, because Game of Thrones was a huge cast that had
Yeah.
huge overarching stories, whereas The Last of Us, its core characters in the last season was less than 10.
Yeah.
It was almost like 5, like around.
Yeah.
Unless you count, did Jesse count as a core character?
I mean, he's only really in like 2 episodes, I think. 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'd say 3. So because you've got Ellie,
Dina,
Abby, who's only in like 3 episodes,
Yeah.
so maybe she isn't even.
Joel, who's in 3.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
So you've only got really 2 characters that are in
Uh-huh.
basically every episode.
yeah.
And it was the same with season 1. Like, you kind of had like a rotation of guest
Yeah.
characters. Because you had like, obviously Joel and Ellie were the main 2, and then you'd have like Tess, and then you had like Bill and Frank, and then
Harry and
Sam. And then after that, I think it's pretty much just
yeah,
Joel
it's
and
just
Ellie.
rotation other
Yeah.
than like these random side characters that they're going against.
Yeah. So like, it's not a hard. Of course, it is a hard show to produce. Every TV
We
show
don't-
is
yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
produce.
Having this discussion is hard
Yeah.
because we don't want to like downplay all like the obvious
Yeah.
huge effort that it takes. It's just it feels like it's a bit bloated. It's not as bloated enough to like cause these giant gaps and
Yes.
these like shortening episode
Uh-huh.
numbers, because there's while the last season of The Last of Us did stop at a good place, and I understand why it stopped there for like a season, it still feels like you could still like have more episodes.
Yeah, either they could have done more episodes, or like if they knew they were greenlit, like they could have been writing at the very least the next season as this season was airing.
Yeah, because it feels like they have a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, the game exists.
game
So
exists.
they know what beats to hit.
Yeah, and it's not like it's Craig Mazin working on his own. He's working with Neil Druckmann and I forget her name, but she also worked on the game as well, because Neil Druckmann was the game's lead and writer. And then there's also, is it Ali? something.
I don't know.
But she was co-lead writer of the second game as well. And like they were all working on the scripts together. So it's not like one person's doing everything. There's the division of work and cooperation. So like that's easier to crack everything with. And so they can write the scripts, and then like once the season's done airing, like they can then shoot it.
Yeah.
And then that way you don't need to wait probably 2 or 3 years before we get the next season. Like the chances are we're not getting it before 2027 at least.
Yeah.
Because what I will say is, like, culturally, things have shifted. Like you mentioned, like when you're in a show like Friends or early sitcoms, that was your life.
Yeah.
You were not doing any other projects. And now we're getting what I feel like is a lot of actors and actresses that come from film going to TV, but they still will have film responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so we're talking Last of Us. Pedro Pascal is doing way too fucking much. That man is talented.
The man is everywhere.
He's
the man is
everywhere.
everywhere. I don't think he's going to be in season 3.
No, still not. But still,
Yeah.
the gap between the first 2
Yes.
seasons,
100%.
he was working on shit.
Yeah.
And so you're getting
Absolutely.
these A-listers for your series, knowing full well
Yeah.
their availability is not that good.
Yeah.
But you're buzzing.
The thing is, shooting season 2 of The Last of Us, they could have shot everything else.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
he's not in like anything after the second episode.
Yeah.
It depends on how they want to shoot it, if they do chronological or not, or episode based or not.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming usually, from what I know, is you shoot episodically out of chronological
Yeah.
order, but still episodically.
I remembering them mentioning, like, I think it was a scene from maybe the third episode was like the first thing they shot at the season. So like clearly we're doing it out of order.
Yeah.
Yeah. From what I always like assumed, I could be wrong here, that they just do what they can as the time allows. It doesn't matter if it's episodically or like,
and like whatever
chronologically.
locations you're able
Exact
to get, you
locations,
shoot
very
when you can
dependent.
shoot, and
Yeah.
then
So it's very like wild card on like what's gonna happen on what day.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't think Pedro Pascal's coming back at
Nah.
any point in the series
Maybe
anymore.
a teeny little. That's
Spoiler alert, by the way, for Last of Us.
Yeah.
We should maybe put that at the front.
I mean, if you don't know, like, I feel
Come
like you've
on, it's been on
living
the
under a rock.
internet.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, it's not like the game's been out for fucking
Yeah.
5 years at this point too,
It's-
and that was a big thing when the game came out.
yeah, I mean that's true because I fucking knew about it.
Yeah.
To talk about my own experience watching The Last of Us, like just very briefly, when the second episode hit, and I watch it with my mum because she's a fan of the show as well. I'm very glad I got her into it. But we watched the second episode. It was when I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
That episode specifically, and when it happens when Joel's basically on getting
Yeah.
it all happened. I looked at my mum and she was like, and I just went, I've known that was gonna happen since before the
You
show
little
even got announced. I
was
feel
there.
nothing.
Just tears streaming down her face. You're like,
I've been prepping for this since we watched the first episode 2 years
Yeah.
ago. Because I knew the time was limited.
This reminds me of when people went in to watch the Battle of Five Armies, not knowing that shit was gonna go down,
Yeah.
and you had a few people just. Suckers. I cried over this years ago.
The moon gets destroyed. It's the first time Sonic fan. Long time Sonic fan. Just stupid.
Shadow shoots a kid.
This is horrifying. This is what I'm here for.
I am all I am.
Just like drinking something while middle finger to the movie.
But yeah, it's crazy to me that like a production like Game of Thrones is in so recent memory. Yet you couldn't do it again now.
No.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
I mean, they could barely do it. Sorry, they could barely do it in the last few seasons as well, because season 7 had the episode cut down from episode count cut down from 10 to 7. Because why not?
Yeah.
But because clearly there just wasn't enough content. They couldn't stretch anything out. They couldn't show us what travel time that was never popular in the
Characters
show.
just had to
Get to
teleport
Yeah.
everywhere.
I mean, who wants episodes of just, I don't know, Brienne and Pod just traveling in the forest and being their characters? Who'd watch that season 4?
they've already been to places. They can just, bring up the map and fast travel.
Fuck you and your Skyrim bullshit.
What? Oh my god, guys, we weren't taking the long route. We could have just walked there straight. I don't know why people would walk in and there's a giant circle around it.
Lady
Alright,
Brienne.
call them the Eagles.
Okay.
Lady Brienne, I need you to get to River Run. I don't know where that is. Don't worry, I had it discovered like 2 seasons ago. If you just, just hit this like fast travel button here.
Yeah. Just.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, season 7 cut the episode count down to 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a year break.
Yep.
Because they had to put so much time into that last season. It needed all that time.
I
To
actually
make it the
forgot
most
they stepped a
satisfying-
year between season 7 and 8.
Best conclusion they could possibly make to the greatest show of all time in that decade.
Man.
How the fuck did that go, huh? I'm still angry.
Yeah.
What?
I put so much time into that fucking show, man.
Oh, God,
I'm actually annoyed.
No, that's fair. Because I watched it once the final season had been out,
Yeah.
so I just kind of got
Remember
to
that,
sit
yeah.
through it, and then it's even worse because you have the jump from, I believe, the second final. No,
The second
wait.
to last
Second
season.
to last season
Yeah.
was pretty good still.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
season 7 was okay.
Yeah.
People even said at the retroactively people hated season 7 because it was basically the prelude to what was to
Yeah.
come. But
Yeah.
like at the time, people thought season 7, it's still good.
Yeah.
It's dragging a little, like stuff
Some-
is like some stuff's off, but that's fine.
I remember because I was there.
Same.
TM that like book fans, because I was on like this was like the prime reason I was on Reddit at that time.
Mm-hmm.
To like was just to like go on like the book subreddit and stuff, or the general subreddit, and just read about it and stuff. And the most annoyance I got in like before season 8 happened was basically this book plot line that I really liked isn't in the show. I'm a little annoyed at that.
Mm-hmm.
But everything seems fine. I sort of get it because they
Yeah.
gotta cut it down. But then season 8 came out and everyone was like, "This was always trash since season 5."
Yeah, that's the other thing that bugs me is it's like it doesn't just extend retroactively back to season 7. They start saying like, oh, once they finish season 4, that was it. And I'm like, we keep pushing further and further
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
At some point, you're just gonna start saying the show was always
Yeah,
bad.
I think you need to be able to.
We might be
admit-
getting there.
We might
Yeah.
be.
You just need to be able to say, look, it just fell off the rails at some point.
Yeah.
Like, we were all collectively there. It was insane. Like, the way it had this grasp on society when it did.
Mm.
It's fine to say it was good, and then they fucked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Like-
were all like there. Like anyone who watched the show as it was coming out, like we were all there. We all got bound
Yeah.
by it, and
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah.
And like some of us as well, I was still sort of like positive on like season 8 even
Mhm.
like not long after it came out. And
Yeah.
I still don't think I absolutely detest it as much. Like it doesn't ruin the show for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not like the best ending we could have gotten, obviously,
Mhm.
but like it doesn't ruin the show. I'll still rewatch the show again.
Yeah.
I'm not. There are a lot of people saying I'm never rewatching the show
No,
again.
I
The
wouldn't go
whole
that
thing's
far.
tainted, and like no. If it ever comes down enough in price, I might start collecting in 4K.
Mhm.
Just because I still really love that world. It's
Yeah.
just as I've thought back more on it, I'm more cynical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, we could have had so much good shit.
Yeah.
Except we couldn't because George won't write the fucking book.
Yeah.
Cutting myself off.
If I see one more tweet, it's always at 2 a.m. I'm scrolling Twitter, and there's just another fucking headline of George R.R. Martin being like, yeah, so the fans keep talking about the book, but like,
I'm working on stuff.
To be accurate, it's a headline of him working on another thing.
yes, and then he's complaining that fans are complaining that he's not working on the book, and I'm like, George,
Yeah.
write the book.
We have a sort of running joke where you will send those headlines to me, and I have tried to progressively get more and more angry to the point where I'm stone cold. I'm sending that gif of like Gus from Breaking Bad, just like staring into the camera, like I will find you, George. I will seek you out, and I will destroy all your hopes and dreams, motherfucker.
We don't get shows like that. Where
No.
I mean, The Last of Us is close.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
say. Where like just such a big amount of people are just watching it.
Yes.
Because it's coming out weekly, I believe.
Yeah,
came
it
out.
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean,
we
that
haven't
first
had
season,
momentum
like,
that.
I don't think the momentum for season 2's been there. I think a lot
Not
of
as much,
people
no.
had reservations given the reception of the second game.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of people who are still watching it are maybe a little hung up on the game and the show and the fact that they're slightly different things.
I will jump in just again here because I'd say, as of the time of recording this, I've started The Last of Us Part 1,
Yeah.
like the game, because of the show.
Yeah.
Because because the show was, I still really like the show, and I'll be honest, I gotta learn to like be more patient in that game.
Yeah.
Because I've been playing so many games where I just shoot stuff that I gotta like reframe my brain into being slower. But anyway, my point is, I watched the show before I played the games. So, and I've only started playing the game on like after watching the second last episode of the season. So I'm still mainly a show enjoyer. I'm here for the story. And so far from season 2, I still really like it. I'm excited to see where season 3 takes us, even if I know that it's going to be following Abby. I don't know much beyond that.
Yeah.
Is the thing. And I don't know if I'm past what caused the main backlash, if it's still to come, if there was any one thing that caused the backlash.
There's a lot of stuff in the second game that caused backlash. Some of it can sort of understand, some of it not so much. Don't want to get into it.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
You guys can have a Last of Us
Yeah,
episode.
my point though is that like the sort of like reception and viewership of season 2 feels inextricably tied to just people being hung up on it being different slightly from the game. Whereas the first season, like, there was such a momentum of like, this is such a good adaptation of the game, even though it is still different.
Yeah, like, I'll say this right now, from what I played of the game, even like Joel, and this is purely because Pedro Pascal just is really nice in person and has the Pedro Pascal charisma, but his Joel already feels a bit different from the game Joel to me. Not bad. Yeah. Not bad at all. It's just different.
I mean, the game never really gets into like Joel's like PTSD. Because like in the show you kind of have moments of him like gripping at his chest and like walking away and turning away, and then you know, like a full eventual like panic attack.
Yeah.
And the game never does anything like that, which like is understandable. The game doesn't really have much space.
It is a video game as well. You can't like hold up gameplay for stuff
you're
like
not
that.
mashing square to stop Joel from having a panic attack. I think that's a bit of a
especially in a game like Last of Us where there's so much I want to say strategizing and how you move about. You can't just have him suddenly stop and be like, oh god, no, not now.
But yeah, the
I'm suddenly reminded of all those memes of Pedro just going
yeah. But yeah, it could have been their next Game of Thrones. It could have been their next water cooler show. And yet I think they also fucked it up by taking 2 years to bring out this season, which means some of the momentum's lost. And like, I would never ask them to change a certain story beat because it's the inciting instant of the story and it also makes things more interesting. However, from a TV viewership standpoint, I don't know how many people may have tuned out after episode 2.
Yeah. I mean, even like my mum was saying, like, it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, this is it. Like, TV audiences have a different relationship with characters than you do in a video game. Because as a video game, things are so kinetic and you build up a relationship with characters in a different way. So like, when that thing happens in the game, you feel it a lot more intensely. Therefore, when you're handed back control of Ellie, you feel much more drive.
Yeah.
To push forward.
It's because you're playing them, you have that inherent connection.
Yes.
Because like, even though they're definitely characters, you still feel like you're part of that character, so that when something happens to them, you feel that same anger that you then switch to the character who's going to feel that anger from an in-universe perspective. It's more, you feel more linked in.
Yeah.
Whereas on a TV show, it feels like another character that's just that you've got to just detach from now completely.
Also, what happens is more traditionally a season finale thing,
true,
not a beginning of season event. I mean, iconically, Game of Thrones also did something similar.
Yes.
Which,
if you haven't guessed what we're talking about, by the way,
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to bounce around it.
Have
but
you
it feels
figured
like
it out
very
yet, Melina?
obvious.
Joel dying.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no,
Very
that's-
brutally as well. I might
Yeah.
add.
Yeah, no, I've seen like bits of that scene.
Oh, okay.
For those listening who aren't sure, I haven't seen the fucking show.
You probably have.
The Last of Us?
No,
I
like
mean,
the scene.
Yeah, the scene I've seen.
The scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Because
Melina says she hasn't seen
I haven't
the
seen
scene.
the
Oh,
show. Like,
sorry, I misheard
at
that. I
all.
was like, well, maybe that's not the scene you guys are talking about.
Yeah,
is what I
no,
was thinking.
like, yeah, no, I saw that scene and I was like, oh, people are gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, Game of Thrones did it end of season. Ned was our main character. And that was a big, oh shit moment. Now I need to come back
Yeah.
and see what happens in the aftermath of this. Whereas if you do it in episode 2 of your second season,
With arguably your favorite
with
character.
arguably everyone's favorite character and everyone's current favorite actor.
Yes.
Yeah, even though it was coming.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just scared of the major viewer drop off if they ended the first season with that.
I mean, they couldn't have
Yeah.
ended the first season
No,
with
it
it.
wouldn't
There
have
is
it?
no
Okay.
way of doing it because the first and second game stories are like so separate.
No, yeah, then it makes sense
Yeah.
why they did it, but
There's only one real like moment in the first game that leads directly into
Yeah.
the second game, and it is the inciting reason that causes Joel's death.
Yeah. Because there's like a 5-year gap between the first and second season in universe, the story. So like you couldn't have tacked on anything
Yeah,
to the end of the
yeah.
first season.
There's also the fact that, like, to go with the Thrones comparison with like Ned and stuff, the way Thrones was structured its story, not only was that at the end of the season, but we also had that differing plotline thing going on where like the character that would naturally take on that story, or at least is more heavily linked to Ned, would be Rob.
Yeah.
And his story was being set up through the first season, so you're like, okay, we can focus on him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where his story goes. Whereas with Ellie, she feels she's completely like almost symbiotically
Yes.
linked to Joel's story.
Yeah.
Because they're the same story.
Yeah.
That like when you drop Joel off and all the shift suddenly moves to Ellie, it feels a bit more we're missing something.
Yeah.
Even the opening credits of the show, it feels sort of empty when his little like figure part of it just disappears and you're only left with Ellie.
I also don't think it helps that the first episode and a half, Ellie is so unlikable
Yeah.
that you then have to shift onto that character after Joel's death. Like, it's understandable when you know what happens, why she is like that, but you're coming into a new season with
After
no
2
context after 2 years, and you have this sudden change in one of your main characters, which makes her very unlikable, and then you kill off everyone's favorite character.
They do try and make it at least a bit more understandable in that first episode, because the first episode of season 2 starts what we assume is not long after the event of season 1, and we're like, after Joel does his thing,
Yes.
at the end of season 1, Elliot asks like what happened, because she was sort of out of commission for that whole thing, and Joel lies to her.
Yes.
Is what happens. Ellie doesn't know that yet, but then the time skip happens. She's pissed off at him, and anyone's got, okay, she's figured out what happened. And
'Cause
she's
they-
pissed off at that.
They recontextualize that last scene a little bit because like that's the end of season 1, but you also get like an extra shot at the beginning of season 2 where they actually show Ellie's reaction, and you can already kind of see she maybe doesn't fully believe him, but she's willing to just go along with it
Because that's a dad.
because that's her dad. But then you skip 5 years and suddenly she's like, "You're not my fucking dad."
Yeah. She's,
teenagers, am I right?
She's
Yeah.
19,
She's 19.
acting like a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still looks like a 13-year-old. No offense to Bella Ramsey. She is great in season
She's-
2.
Oh, she's fantastic in
Like,
that season.
we will not shit on Bella Ramsey.
No.
Yeah, not in this
I-
house.
Well, maybe shit on their decision to maybe not recast her
So,
And-
like, for this season.
for this season to age up, because I don't think she kind of conveys everything.
She does have baby face, so it's
She
hard.
does.
Yeah.
She's really good at capturing some of the darker sides of Ellie. Like, I will not fault her for that. It's just, it's hard to feel the amount of time that's gone by. It's
Yeah.
also hard to feel the change in the character because she doesn't look like she's grown up.
No, like, so they've changed her hair, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. That's common for women in Hollywood, unfortunately. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's a
she's
whole
10
thing.
years younger, we'll just give her some bangs and well, that's it. Sort
Well,
of.
she's got the sort of, I don't know how to describe it.
I mean, they literally just copy the hairstyle Ellie has in the game.
yeah, but what would you call
which
that
is,
style?
it's like that kind of tied back, but it's still got like the
Oh,
I've almost called
half
it like
up, half down.
half up, half down. That's it. Thank you.
that.
I
yeah.
couldn't remember the name. I was like,
I almost called it
know.
like short elf hair.
Yeah.
I would have understood that as
Yeah.
well. I know it. Yeah.
Like, this is a Link hairstyle
Yeah.
right there, but
It was on the tip of my tongue, and I was like, I can't remember what this is called.
yeah.
Yeah, just for visual sake, they were both like pretending to mime the
Yeah.
hairstyle, and then I just.
I mean, if I take my ponytail out, it sort of looks like that
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Just about like another thing up here.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing too much hate on Bella Ramsey online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't deserve. People, this is just a general thing, TV, film. We're not going to blame actors for bad lines.
No.
We can blame them for bad line delivery.
Yes.
But a good actor cannot fix a bad fucking line.
Have
No.
have the Star Wars prequels taught us nothing? Are you okay?
on, man. No matter where I set this, I keep hitting my microphone.
So yeah, like, I know there's like one line people get mad over in the second season, I think.
Mhm.
I think it's something like, oh, I'm going to be a dad or something.
Oh.
That's not a bad line
That's
delivery.
not a bad line.
I heard people say they hate it, and
That's
I was
kinda-
like, I don't know context. I
That's
cannot
kind of
judge.
funny.
Yeah.
Like, realistically.
Yeah, no, I thought we were like, oh, it's a comedic
Because
thing. Yeah, fun.
so Ellie is gay in the show
Mm-hmm.
and in the game. I don't know why I'm saying it like that.
No,
She's-
they gate her up in the show. That's why it's
Woke
woke
her.
trash. Has never played the game.
No way a game would have a gay
no.
girl.
The gay's only in game, not in the game.
so she's into her best friend.
Yeah, there's a
Dina.
sort of thing going on. there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet she obviously doesn't say it because Dina is on and off with Jesse, who's another guy in the community.
Yeah.
And so they go into Seattle to avenge Joel, and like they're traveling together, and eventually Dina admits to Ellie that she's pregnant. And at this point they've like kissed and they're kind of like admitted to how they feel to each other, and obviously Dina tells her this, and Ellie is like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a dad. And it's like meant to be a jokey kind of.
Yeah.
I found it kind of sweet.
It's endearing, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
It's sweet, but I can see people finding it weird and strange, but I don't agree with it.
No, I
think if I remember correctly, that comes right after they've like ran from like a whole
Yeah.
infected horde. If the series of events I'm thinking of
yeah,
is
it's
like
because
that.
it's just once
Yeah.
they come out of the subway station and like Dina thinks that Ellie had been infected, but obviously
Yeah,
Ellie's immune, so
That's our whole
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, this is where she finds out Ellie's immune as well.
Yeah,
Then they fuck.
because
Like,
tension.
Tension.
yeah, tension's sake. Like, I heard a lot of people hating on that line. Because again,
don't
I just
know
see
why.
I
it
don't get it.
online.
Yeah, I
I
like the
don't-
line.
I don't get it. And of course, they were blaming Bella Ramsey for it. I'm like,
course.
she's not a fucking writer, unless it's an ad lib, but which I highly fucking
No,
doubt it.
I think that was in the game, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No idea.
we'll find out in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a big thing of mine where I'm like, can we stop blaming actors for that?
Yeah.
The only
It
meme I've
pisses me
seen of something like that is like the picture of Ellie, but like she's photoshopped on top. I don't know if it's like a Seinfeld character or not. I've shown it to you. Where like it's like a sitcom dad, but like it fits. Her face fits so well
See
that it's
that?
really
See,
funny.
that's good.
Hold on.
I don't remember this one, but I probably have seen
I
it.
better be
Hold on.
fucking Brian
I think
Cranston.
it was episode 4. Yeah,
Oh,
Kevin
yeah,
James.
Kevin James. Yeah, like her
I
face
had that in
photoshopped
my mind, but I
that's
was like,
funny.
Seinfeld?
I don't know what sitcom that is, so
What the fuck is Kevin James?
I have no idea which one it
I
is
don't
either, to
think-
be
Yeah.
honest.
If it looks like a promo, like shoot for some
Yeah.
Adam Sandler film
Yeah.
to me. That's what I've always
Uh-huh.
assumed that's from.
I just know that picture. So I saw this meme going around to like, see, that's funny.
Yeah.
See, that's funny. See, that's good. That's good. We like this.
I didn't think.
Blah, blah, blah.
I don't think there was anything like negative behind it.
She does kind of hit people with that.
Anyway, I like the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's not hate on actors.
No.
unless
No,
they're
especially
pieces
not.
Of shit.
I like Bella Ramsey. She was actually good in Thrones as
Yeah.
well, and she was in the weaker seasons.
And she was how old when she was in Thrones?
Oh,
She was like 10.
10,
10
yeah.
years old. Was carrying fucking scenes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jeez, yeah.
She's 21, 22 now.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Never mind, I hate her guts. She's younger than me and is more successful than me. I no longer like her. They're gonna be me.
But I'll criticize season 2 enough for its casting decisions, because I think Abby's casting decisions very weird. We've talked about this in private before. We're like, because in the game she's very imposing. She's very big,
I will say,
Big
I,
buff.
big buff.
again,
woman.
I've only played the game. I've only watched the season. Well, so I don't have much of a comparison, but I've seen Game Abby in like
Yeah.
pictures like long before, and I will say I was expecting Buff Girl, and I did not
Yeah.
get Buff Girl.
Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's Caitlin Denver, Carolyn Denver, something like that, who plays Abby in the show. Is good. She
Yeah,
does a really good job.
She holds the
'cause-
scenes that she's
yeah.
in. Like I'm genuinely interested in seeing her in season 3.
I just wish they'd maybe gone for a bit more of a
Big buff
yeah,
lady.
because it's not a kind of woman you see, especially in a leading role in a show like
yeah,
this.
and it's not like they do the video game version of a buff woman where she's still like sort of thin with like a little bit
Yeah.
of
No,
muscle. She
Abby's
is like
fucking
she is
swole.
she is not thick, not like that, but you know, yeah, she's huge.
Yeah. No, I mean that's 100% put up to casting directors,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be shocked if they're like people are not gonna like it.
yeah.
I wouldn't.
I
be
actually
shocked.
think, if I remember correctly, the person who plays Abby in season
Oh
2.
yeah, I love that.
That's
Love
buff, I
that
know.
Buff lesbian there.
We do not get that in season 2 of the
No.
show, and I'm sad.
If I remember correctly, the person who plays Abby in season 2 is actually who was originally going to play Ellie when The Last of Us originally was a movie before it became a video game.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
But by the time the game started production, she had aged out of the
Oh,
role.
yeah.
Okay,
And so,
I
yeah,
can see it still.
it's
though.
funny that they then cast Ashley Johnson, who at the time was like a grown woman.
Yeah,
You know.
Casting's funny like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We could
Maybe
have had a
she-
Tom
maybe-
Hiddleston Thor. And
Don't
look
get
at
me
us.
wrong.
maybe the,
Ashley Johnson kills it as Ellie in the games.
yeah. To me, maybe the original like the Abby actress like didn't want to do voice acting or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, like the games are pretty much traditionally acted. They're all in mocap
Yeah,
suits
yeah,
and play
mocap.
everything out.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, there's as much.
It was also
ad-libbing.
like the early 2010s, so maybe
Yeah.
that wasn't as, I don't know, like in terms of reputation, video games
Yeah.
weren't quite there yet. It was kind of The Last of Us that sort of changed all
Yeah,
that.
it probably
so-
would have been quite a bit of time sink too. It's a lot of mocap for a game like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, we've been talking about Last of Us for a while.
Yeah, this was about an industry thing.
Yeah.
TV
Main
in
point,
general.
all that like momentum from that
Yes.
season is gonna be suckered out over the next 3 years,
Yeah,
maybe.
because like I mean, I don't think it's started to have been written yet. The person who plays Abby said in an interview recently she doesn't expect to be shooting it until early 2026. Then you've got post production, which is like another
Yeah, few
6
months.
months to a year because
Yeah.
of its full episodes,
And it's a lot of CG.
and it's
Yeah.
a lot of CG, especially for season 2. Like for season 1, it was mostly some set extension with a few episodes having like big infected moments. But there's so much of Seattle needs to be done in CG for season 2. Like it is still set extension, but like Seattle's huge, and what you see in the background is so imposing. It's like pretty much always there.
That last episode, there's this one shot where like Ellie's in like the boat. And
Yes.
it's like I looked at when it's like a wide shot where she's near the bottom of the screen just
Uh-huh.
going across it, and I'm like, this is fully animated.
Yeah.
This scene.
Wow.
There's nothing real in that scene. That's
Yeah.
that's a killer
Mm-hmm.
for like VFX like
Yeah.
budgets.
And they're working with Weta too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, they're
So-
fantastic.
Yeah,
but
but they're
They
in
take the
demand.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Money.
money.
Mm.
HBO's fucking got it. They
Oh, yeah.
they have
aren't
it.
afraid to spend it.
No.
I mean, just look at how much they spend on their comedy show.
Yeah.
they have a comedy show.
Last week tonight.
Good old
John
John
Oliver.
Oliver. He blows those budgets
Oh.
sky high on
Yeah.
the shit he does.
I always forget he's there.
Yeah, technically a comedy show too.
Yeah.
It's in reality, it's investigative journalism
Yeah,
with jokes.
presented by an idiot.
Love that idiot.
Love that idiot. But yeah, there's other examples like Stranger Things.
Mm.
You know,
They started this whole fucking thing.
yeah, because when did last season come out? 2022. I know we're in
I want to say
2020.
2021.
Part of me thinks it's
Yeah.
2021 or 2022.
I mean, it was late months of the year, wasn't it?
it was
came out.
some of it came out in July and some of it came out later.
Yeah.
Because they split
split it.
the last season, and they're also splitting this season now too, and taking up every major holiday at the end of this year. Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, New Year.
Because
Of
they want all that viewership to
Yup.
themselves. And what was
Yup.
the season we're thinking of?
Season 4.
Season
Originally the last one too, and they didn't actually say
Yeah.
that it wasn't until it finished.
Yeah, I
Oh.
remember that. Like, it was supposed to be the last one.
Yep.
So when they started talking about, like, the season that's coming out now, I was like, wait, what the fuck?
I
Yep.
thought you were done.
Yeah.
They said they were doing 4 seasons, and then suddenly season 4 came out, and they went, oh,
Actually,
okay,
fuck
5.
The first set of 7 episodes for season 4 was released on May 27th, 2022.
Damn.
While the second set of 2 episodes
Yep.
was released on July 1st.
Yeah, and that last episode is like an hour and a half or something. It's like a full movie.
So it's a
Yeah,
feature
right.
film, yeah.
And you're looking at
Stop
something
doing that.
similar for every episode of this last season, I think, is like
Uh-huh.
post hour long.
Man, I remember when season 1 came out and it was the neat little show that Netflix was making.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When that was still
it's-
novel.
I don't like it. You're making a TV show. Make a TV show.
Yeah. And these kids aren't kids anymore.
No.
They're
Like
fucking full grown adults. One of them's
Exactly.
married.
exactly.
Jesus
And
Christ.
Like-
Yeah.
I don't see the point of making an episode that is an hour and a half and then not either splitting it up in 2
Yeah.
or just releasing it as a movie.
Yeah.
What's stopping you? Like a direct to streaming movie. It's in the chronological part
Like-
anyway.
Yeah.
Say what you will about Star Wars, and I've said a lot. But, like, at least the Mandalorian didn't do shit like that, where
Yeah.
it was like an hour and a half episodes for their season finales. They're making a movie
Yeah.
out of
They're
that
making
instead
a full
because you know
movie.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like the first episode of The Last of Us was like I think an hour and a half, but that was like a late game decision because they made it realize that the first episode is the prologue of the game, which ends with Joel's actual daughter getting shot and killed,
Yeah.
which gives no one a reason to come back.
Yeah.
Which they realized, okay, we need to merge the second episode in here because it's also shorter
Yeah.
and also still doesn't give people a huge incentive to come back after that. So we need to make these 2 one episode. And so like it was such a late game decision.
But yeah.
That at least it made sense.
Yeah.
And it does give you that little in for the present day of the storyline. You're not just watching a whole hour of everything that happens in 2003. Actually, I'm not going to get into that.
Don't get into the timeline, please. Just.
I feel like the art of the pilot is also a bit lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're getting so many, like, I get it, we're in the time of the adaptation.
Yeah.
So, fuck pilots. Why would you bother with a pilot if you already have a full show ahead of you? I get that. But the art of the pilot is such a fine thing.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult that I think it is an art form in itself.
Yes.
And we've lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only, like, pilots where I'm like, wow, you could tell this was a pilot that someone really fought for to get on TV is comedy shows. And do comedy shows do well?
comedy was the famous one for pilot season. They would
Yeah.
just do a whole bunch of pilots every season, and if
Yep.
something got picked up, it got picked up. But more
Yep.
than likely, it
Didn't.
wouldn't.
I can't believe I'm bringing this show up again in another podcast episode, but fucking How I Met Your Mother
Yeah.
has like
Yeah.
is one that sticks out to me because like that has a pilot episode and you can feel compared to the rest of the show it's a pilot episode. Everyone
Yeah.
looks a little different,
Yeah.
little hair. one thing that always sticks out to me, especially that like gets completely retconned in later episodes, is that at the end of that show, they're in like their bar set and it's completely empty.
Yeah.
It's just the actors that need to be there because it's a pilot.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah,
afford
yeah.
extras
Yeah.
for that long yet. So it's just a suddenly empty bar at what's supposed to be like probably the middle of the night, and you can feel it. But then later episodes, whenever they link back to that, they've refilmed the scene
Yeah.
where it's full and lively, and it's like that's not what it looked like. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I hate to bring it up again. Friends, again,
Yes.
that first episode is
Yeah.
a pilot.
That is a pilot.
And everyone is like completely
Oh, yeah.
different. Even characterization
Yeah.
is completely different in Friends.
Remember when Monica was supposed to be the main character?
Oh god, yeah. Even the first season of Friends is like completely different
Oh, yeah.
from
Yeah,
the
definitely.
rest.
Which is fine because characters develop, your
Yeah.
writing
Yeah,
develops.
it's a
Yeah.
natural progression.
Uh-huh.
But boy,
Yeah.
oh boy.
Yeah.
Like what's the last pilot episode of
Oh,
something new?
God. Of new?
I just don't think it happens.
I don't think it happens anymore.
No.
Because pilot is such a traditional TV thing. It's not for
Uh-huh.
streaming. Streaming's gonna say, here, have a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a season. You've shown me.
We gotta
Yeah.
bump up our content
Yeah.
library.
It
so-
also like
Which is how Netflix has so many
Yeah.
good shows that last one season.
yes.
Mm,
I think also the thing that happens now is that somewhere will order a pilot, and then if they want to pick it up, they'll just reshoot.
Yeah.
yeah.
They'll reshoot the whole first episode in line with the season.
style and-
'Cause you want to
yeah.
break consistency.
Yeah, like you
God,
can't
Otherwise,
have
everyone on the
continuity.
internet will kill you.
Yeah.
Except no, they won't.
I mean, remember when was it Game of Thrones had a coffee cup?
People still
Yeah.
bring that up, and
Yeah.
I'm genuinely. Who the fuck cares? I
People-
didn't even notice it, and I watched that live at 3
Yeah.
a.m.
People brought that up for Last of Us because you could see like a cameraman on like a bridge.
See,
Yeah.
but that's the fun of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's silly mistakes. Embrace them.
Exactly.
You know, there's like a famous example. One of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. There's just a crew guy among pirates.
Yeah.
He's just standing there.
There's an episode
that.
of Supernatural where one of the camera guys is fully just there with the camera walking in front of the actor.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean they have a whole episode that's like them behind the scenes.
No, this is just
this
an
is a normal
actual
episode.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Like I remember rewinding and going,
You did not.
did I just see like fully one of the camera guys with like a camera mounted on his shoulder? He's got the
Yeah.
vest
Yeah,
to
yeah.
secure it, and he's like walking around Dean and like walks through a door, and I'm like,
What?
huh? Did you put in the wrong angle for this scene? What?
They forgot to switch the camera.
Yeah.
which season of Supernatural was this? They may have stopped giving a shit at this
I
point.
No,
mean,
this was
yeah.
early because I
Oh,
haven't seen.
they had a full shit to give.
Yeah, I haven't seen the part where they stopped caring.
There's this famous, I think it's either Reddit or a Tumblr post of this guy who's a camera guy complaining about actors not taking their job seriously, which then makes everyone have to stay on set hours and hours longer because they're messing around.
Yeah.
First comment, is it Supernatural?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Because as fun as it is, ooh, we're getting those little bloopers, our actors are having
Yeah.
fun. I'm sorry, but you're also in your job
Uh huh.
and people need to go home.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel
It's-
that.
Because you're having fun, but Emily, who is holding the boom mic,
Yeah.
isn't.
Emily is dying.
Yeah.
People in like the booth trying to like seeing all this
Yeah.
all this recording stuff, they're not having a good
No.
time. They're like, I want to get my fucking day done.
Uh huh.
Yeah, we were scheduled to be done at 6.
They're on
it's
their
11 p.m.
They're on their 7th kickstart. They're vibrating their way through this.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun on the fucking Blu-ray. You
Yeah.
bastards.
Yeah, how many more takes do we want of this? Oh yeah, you keep doing that. That's fun. That's fun. If we could like not. Thank you.
But
Like,
yeah, those
silly shit happens. I get it. I get
Yeah, but the amount of silly shit that happens on the set of
Oh.
like Supernaturals.
Yeah.
yeah. But like the little mistakes you see in like
Uh-huh.
stuff that people try to painstakingly like just
Airbrush.
like wipe
Yeah.
over just because you know someone on the internet's gonna point it out when
Yeah.
you're gonna be on shitty movie details
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
oh, that's basically a Razzie Award in this day and age
Yeah.
for some reason. This nation used to have a show that
Look.
talked about this stuff all the time on TV, and I
There's this-
loved it.
There's this behind the scenes thing from The Hobbit Desolation of Smaug where Peter Jackson says we had to re-edit the first movie because we show a tiny clip of Smaug's like back legs. And because they changed the design in the second movie when they
Yeah.
showed Smaug, they were like, one fucking idiot's gonna pick up on that. We know one idiot's gonna pick
Yeah.
up on that. And someone did after the trailer got released for the second one. someone was like, excuse me.
Oh.
So he was like, okay, we're changing the fucking DVD release. Fuck you.
Well, that's like I saw an interview recently with Norman Reedus, because like there's all the press leading up to Death Stranding 2 coming out as we're recording this, because by the time it comes out, Death Stranding 2 will be out, but not currently. So there's all the press stuff happening. And he's talking about like working with Hideo Kojima, and he's talking about like his style where he's like, he had never worked on like a game before. He's never done mocap, so he's like, he didn't know what sort of experience it is. And he walks in, and Hideo is like, so you pick up the baby and you cry. And Norman Reedus is like, okay, but like why? And he's like, so the stranding and this and that. And he's like, I trust you, but I don't understand.
That's Hideo Kojima.
And he's like,
That's
and so
cute.
look up, and there's a whale.
Yep.
But then he was also talking about like how he prepared for that, and like the idea of like mocapping and like watching the behind the scenes of Benedict Cumberbatch's Smaug, and he's like,
I'm not doing that.
but no,
Fuck
but then he
that.
found out that like none of that could be used
Yeah.
because the way Benedict Cumberbatch was moving was getting in the way of the mocap stuff.
Yeah.
Either his hands would come in front of his face, which means the facial tracking gets thrown off, or like the way the mocap suits work, the way they're
It wasn't too
strapped up to the body.
dragon-like.
Yeah.
And he moves around a lot,
Yeah.
so you know I don't blame
Yeah.
I don't blame that thing for coming off.
Yeah, and mocap suits are like kind of pretty sensitive with how you can move around. So if you're moving around too much or too like aggressively, you can fuck it all up.
Yeah.
And the way he's moving,
You're fucking it up.
But that is kind of the curse of mocap, though. You're trying to
Yeah.
capture realistic movement, but if you get too into
Yeah.
it, you're gonna break something.
Also, I love the throwaway comment from Norman Reedus where he's like, I meant to be kissing Lea Seydoux, but the phones just keep hitting each other.
This isn't intimate.
Like, you wanted to kiss Lea Seydoux.
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've seen her in the game.
She's Princess Beach.
I mean, I have just such. Do I think it's a shame that a lot of TV and film is going more towards screen, like green screen CGI? Yeah.
Yeah.
But oh my god, props to those actors.
Oh, yeah.
That blue wall is giving you
Yeah.
nothing to work
Yeah.
with. Like I think it was some scenes from The Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's mostly
Yeah.
CG, but to have her
Nothing's
sing,
there.
and just kind of, I believe it's these green screen like morph suit men pretending to be turtles, and she's sitting on top of one as he just crawls. It's like, oh my god, I admire your
Yeah,
talent.
it's like the Sonic movies where there's like
The little ball.
not a little ball, but like the actual like fucking horrific
mini replica
of Sonic just standing there or sitting in the car, and I'm like, wow, man.
This it's not like the Muppets where there's actual movement. That's just
Yeah.
that's like a
Yeah.
plank of wood almost.
Yeah, like you've probably just got not even Ben Schwartz off camera. You've got like some PA fucking
Just
reading
reading
Sonic's
those
lines.
I always remember this one clip like way back from like the first Stuart Little movie, like back when that was coming out, and there's this one behind the scenes clip, and what the actual scene is, I've got a bit of hair getting in my eye, but is that obviously Mrs. Little gives like Stuart like a soft sort of like kiss on like the forehead and stuff. Like it's the end of the movie, it's a heartwarming
Yeah.
scene. Behind the scenes, that's just a fuzzy little white ball that she's just got to kiss in an emotional way. And she does it, she sells it well.
Yeah.
But like it's really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it just reminds me of the behind the scenes picture from Twilight. You have
Uh-huh.
Taylor Lautner in a morph
Yeah.
suit, and poor Kristen Stewart just petting his head. They're there, Wolf, they're there.
What about Mark Ruffalo having to be in whatever he has to do to be the
Oh my
Hulk?
god, yeah.
I mean, it's
I mean, I always just think about the picture of Ian McKellen on the set of The
Yeah.
Hobbit. You know.
I
just-
was gonna bring that up a little earlier.
Yeah.
That's sad.
it is a shame.
But
yeah.
there is the little paper face of like Bilbo right in front of him, and like I'd break
That
down
would cause
too.
me. Yeah, I was gonna say that would cause me to have a mental breakdown. Going, Martin Freeman again.
I'd be like this. I too would be like, this is not why I wanted to act.
This is I've done Shakespeare.
All the Star Wars prequels, they're just in empty blue
Yeah.
rooms of the void.
Like I did one short film where I was acting opposite a guy in a sheet, who we just give eyes on the sheet. Honestly, I like it because they cannot, if they are giggly as fuck, or they cannot keep a straight face, that fucks me up.
Yeah.
I didn't mind working opposite a sheet.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's giving you absolutely nothing, it's
Yeah.
It's a skill.
And the tennis balls, the classics. Yep.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
For sure. Big respect.
Yeah, I have big respect for it. I wish that the lighting of current TV and movies is ass.
Yes.
Oh, big time. I wonder why.
Well,
why do they shoot it like that?
it's because it's not even like we're on, soundstage and stuff like that. We've done sound stages for fucking decades at this point, and green screen and stuff.
We've perfected that.
It is the fact that we have moved entirely away from the old lights that we used to use in film and television. The industry at large entirely uses large LED panels, which cannot come close to replicating the amount of stuff you used to be able to do with the amount of lights that we used to have.
Because you'd have like multiple 3-point setups.
Yes.
Like within a room. Like, most famously, like horror movies would use it to almost light something. Yeah. Where you then have the suspense. Now we either see everything or we see fucking nothing.
Or lighting cannot be harsh. You cannot do harsh lighting with LEDs. No. You can take that fucking diffuse cover off. They're still LEDs.
Yeah.
They do not cast light in that same way that an actual light bulb, like a fluorescent light bulb or one of the Blondie lights, one of the big fucking powerful orange ones that cook you alive if you're underneath it.
Yeah.
But boy, that gives a night glow.
Yes.
Yep.
And like the worst part is you can understand why this change happened because LEDs are obviously safer with like the heat thing, but also like
more cost efficient,
energy efficient.
Yes,
eco-friendly.
You can put a battery in that son of a bitch and take it anywhere.
Yeah, it makes sense, but visually in a visual medium, it sucks.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to mention. This is the thing that always comes up with Game of Thrones again. That what was it? The Battle of like Winterfell or whatever.
You're coming to the part I wanted to bring up too.
Okay, sorry, I've taken that over. You can obviously add on to this, but I hate that fucking explanation where everyone complained it was too dark because of course it was. No one could see it.
Yeah.
I again couldn't see it, and I watched it at the middle of like the morning.
Yeah.
3 a.m. I couldn't see shit.
No. Yeah.
If your brightness is fully up. And you can't see shit.
Me and my mum have watched that episode again like a few more times, and like every time it happens we have to I have to customly set like the brightness to a specific point where we can actually see shit, turn off all the lights in our like living room and what is the explanation?
Natural lighting.
Well, not just natural lighting, it's the fact the cinematographer was, I intended it to be viewed on like an IMAX screen with only the highest like fidelity, and it's like, motherfucker, you are shooting a television show.
Here's the thing, that scene's not even gonna look good in 4K HDR.
No.
Or on an IMAX screen.
No. You can help, like, it helps with the bit crunch.
Yeah, sure.
But it doesn't save the actual lighting.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, so I'm gonna quickly finish a point I wanted to bring up before I jump onto the
before I hijacked you.
Yeah.
I recently watched season 1 of Andor. Looks fantastic. The cinematography is stunning, and it actually does go an extra mile of using so many different points of like lighting, so many different types of lighting that just make things so nice to look at. But there's the occasional scene
where you can fucking tell.
Yeah, there's a scene where Cassian is on Ferrix, and he goes to the like work yard where they're like fucking pulling things apart or whatever, and he's standing looking across this like open, junkyard to his friend.
It's been a while since I've seen season 1.
What's his name?
But I think I know who you're talking about.
Is it Baron?
It's been too long.
Borb.
Vaguely Star Wars sounding name.
Yeah, he's the one who screams when they it's like, fight the Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he the bartender guy?
No.
Okay.
He's the actual like worker.
Yeah.
guy.
Okay.
He's carrying Marva's.
I got you.
He's like looking over to like him working, and it's so so noticeable that it's shot on a soundstage with LED lighting because the lighting cast isn't natural. They've tried to match it to the background, but even though the background is like so high fidelity because it's Star Wars, it just doesn't sell. There is no believability on it. I don't believe that Diego Luna is actually standing on that planet looking at his friend.
He's in a studio.
He's in a studio. It's one of the, like, maybe 3 shots in that entire show, and it's all because they shot it on a soundstage with LED lighting. And it's so common now. There are maybe, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times in every episode of The Last of Us Season 2, I just was not sold
I get
on
that.
certain elements. It's like, especially, I think, is it the second last episode or the last episode, where they've, like, Jesse and Ellie have, like, climbed up and they're, like, looking out, and you see the aquarium on one side, and then there's, like, wherever Tommy is, and the light...
It's the last episode,
Yeah, so the light, like, whenever it's looking out over the city, it looks fantastic. But whenever they're, like, slightly back from where they're looking out from, the lighting being cast inside doesn't match the lighting of the outside. Or when they're, like, it pans behind them and you can see both. You can see where the city is supposed to be through the opening in the building. It just doesn't sell because the lighting isn't match. You can match lighting. It's not that hard to do if you are planning far enough ahead. And shows like The Last of Us do. They have this meticulously planned out, but the lighting type of lighting we are using doesn't sell. On the other hand, we now have the era of natural lighting. Or,
Fuck off. Yeah.
if you're talking about it in actual terms of movies, motivated lighting. Where every element that you see on screen has to cast believable amounts of lighting that it would in real life. And
Since
I
when
hate
do we
that.
fucking care about movies
don't know.
being realistic? They're
don't-
movies.
It's like every sitcom has that one scene where they're in a restaurant and the only light sources we see on screen are the candles or the light fixtures on
chandeliers,
and they're meant to be casting low levels amount of light, but the scene's still perfectly lit, but we understand the idea natively in our mind.
Yeah, it's a dimly lit restaurant.
We need to see as well.
But now you have it just being lit by those candles on the like Hereditary has such good visuals, except the scene where they sit around having dinner and the only actual lights are the candles on the table and like 2 lamps in each side of the living room, and the living room is massive, so it's like so dimly lit that I'm like, no one is eating dinner in this lighting condition.
No.
I do not believe that. It's less believable than if you lit it unmotivated, which is, you might create something in a particular fashion, but it's not being motivated by what's being shown on screen.
Yeah.
I do not believe that everything needs to be motivationally lit. Things can be unmotivatedly lit.
Absolutely.
And it'll work, it'll sell. It's like every scene where...
We were fine with it for the last few decades.
Yeah, why
like-
suddenly now?
Any scene where you just see characters' eyes being lit, that's not motivationally lit. But no one cares. It sells the show.
Yeah.
Never forget, like, what... was it, like, Peter Jackson or something, like, who straight up said... Or was maybe, like...
It was
else?
Hans Zimmer. No, it was Peter Jackson. No.
Because
it was
Sounds
the
like
DOP.
Peter, yeah.
One of the guys... It was the dwarf.
Oh, God, no, I don't know his name.
Gimli.
Gimli's actor.
Oh, fuck. If you asked me any from the
He's
Hobbit,
Welsh,
I,
I
would've
think.
known.
Yeah. He asked the...
No, I was like, Karen, stop, but that's...
No. He asked the DOP when they were shooting the Helm's Deep scenes. He was like, where's the light coming from? He's like, the same place the music's coming from.
Yeah.
Like, you don't...
No one gives a fuck.
No one gives a
No
fuck.
one's like, excuse me.
Battle of Helm's Deep is still one of the greatest battles of all in
Yes.
movie history. No one gives a fuck about the lighting because we want to see it. It is the
Yeah.
language of
Yep.
film. You want to be able to see in a visual medium.
Yeah, and even then, Helm's Deep is like low light levels, but things are still clear because we're lighting what needs to be lit.
We're good.
had this-
Good at lighting our scenes.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had this like weird thought. This is like only somewhat related. I'm just remembering right now. There's a film not in the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. It's actually in the Bashki one.
Oh, okay.
When he does like the Battle of Helm's Deep, for no reason whatsoever, everything's just suddenly engulfed in red.
Yeah.
Like it is dark, it is bloody, but like you only get like a hint of that because of all the lighting. And yeah, you could have a moment of, well, where did all that come from? That's weird. But honestly, I look at it and I go, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That is stylistic.
Like, are you
I like
really,
that.
Are you really gonna make a fuss for that 1% that's like, why is it red?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the rest is screaming in excitement. Like,
Yeah.
who are you gonna care about here? Let's
Yeah.
be real. Just make it cool.
Yeah.
We don't care.
I'd
Make it
rather
cool and let me
something.
see.
Yeah, I'd rather something looks good and visually readable than it. Believing that the lights
Yeah.
on screen are lighting what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That only works in certain circumstances. Like, I mean, even like there is the scene in The Last of Us where Ellie's chased. I can't remember the character's name, but she's chased around to the basement level, and all she's being lit with is like the red emergency light. That's cool.
that
See?
was amazing.
That's good motivational
Absolutely.
lighting.
Agreed.
But there's also a scene in an action movie on Netflix where there's two characters fighting and the only thing lighting them is a red emergency light and it's behind them. So you cannot see anything but their silhouette.
Yeah, which is cool for 10 seconds.
Yeah, but it keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for a shot, that is a great shot.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a whole scene, not great. And with the
No.
LA thing, that helps as well because that's a very dramatic
Yes.
scene. The red light complements the anger and like the almost hellish sort of
Yeah.
connotations of that scene because to give a brief like pretense, that whole scene is like filled with spores.
Yeah.
That like
yeah,
in
yeah.
the nature of the show infects anyone that like breathes into it. The person she's chasing has gone in there without even knowing that
Yeah.
because she's desperate to stay alive. Ellie is immune.
Yep.
She's not got that problem. But like everything about it and the lighting plays into all
Yeah.
of that. It feels like it has a purpose and it's not just because, well, it's realistic.
Yep. And like Ellie has to turn the power on and that light turns on and she starts torturing this character. So like it's also that red of like Ellie's character
exactly.
flipping and something else. And like I also love the way it lights Bella Ramsey's eyes in that scene because they just go fucking jet black.
Yeah.
And it's just a natural thing
Yeah.
because she's got like brown eyes or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
It fits with everything and just her facial expression
Yeah.
as well. It manages to contort the light into an almost like a very sinister look for a
Yeah.
character. It's really good. No shade on Bella Ramsey in this house.
No.
She's a fantastic actress.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like it's that sort of thing where like you have to do both and not be overzealous for one or the other. You have to think what makes the movie or TV show or the scene better. Is it better if we can see what's happening, or is it better if we use this light that's here to do something really cool?
Yeah.
Because you also just don't get light filtering through windows in the same way anymore.
No.
I mean, I'm just thinking of all the movies that have shots of like high up windows and there's just those shafts, casts of
yeah.
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
That is the best scene in that movie.
Blade Runner does it too.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't get that now. Like I feel so insane sitting here saying like they don't make them like they used to, but they
It's
literally
true.
cannot.
Yeah,
make
in this
them like they
instance,
used
it's
to.
not just a nostalgia sort of
Yeah.
like it's an actual observation. They don't make it like that,
Yeah.
and we've lost something.
Yep. There's also something about like the fact that technology is no longer a limitation. In fact, what you can do with the camera and lights and color grading is almost limitless now because the amount of information a camera can capture and the amount of all of that information it sees color-wise and light-wise that it can store is insane. Also means that you're not really getting the limitation that even film or early digital had, where you had to be particular.
Yeah.
Whereas now, it's like, it doesn't really matter. You can shoot it and you can probably fix it in post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, another sort of weird example. 28 days later, they had to
Yes.
film on a camcorder,
Yeah.
and like the quality is stuck on DVD level. And like they had to do that because they couldn't like get actual cameras at
Yeah.
the time to move around like that. If it was made today, it would look as stock as
Well, they're shooting 28
years.
weeks,
Yeah.
28 years later on
Yeah.
phone cameras,
Yeah.
iPhones.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing, or I thought just
Whole
a few
thing.
scenes?
Whole thing,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, iPhone cameras.
You
are
should see some of
great.
the rigs at this point. Like, they're not really shooting them on iPhones. They're shooting them on like massive rigs with like 28
Yeah.
iPhones, like surrounding
I
Yeah.
a
saw those. Yeah,
character. So like that's also another thing where like technology is just
Yeah, there's no limitation, but like the thing with 28 Days Later is that it gives us that such a grounded
Yeah.
feel of the film. You feel on the ground,
Mhm.
like just following these observations that
Yeah.
you couldn't really get with a high professional camera.
That's it. It's like Blair Witch Project was shot on like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the highest like version of videotape that you could
Okay.
get for like finishing movies at the time. And it still looks really fucking good, but it gives it a certain look and a certain feel. It's
Still
like
tape.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you bring in movies and from like, you know, when everything was shot on film and you scan in the 35mm or whatever you're scanning in, and you just wipe away all of that grain that is
Yeah.
inherently there for the film, because it's the you're seeing the actual crystals that make up that sliver of film.
The DNR debate.
Yeah, you wipe it away and you lose so much of what makes that film look like a film.
Yeah, like I forget exactly what it might have been. Terminator 2, that's the infamous one, but like I want to say maybe it was to do, and this is an example that's still really good to look at, the 4Ks of Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
They're still very very nice in 4K. Absolutely would recommend it, but there are some scenes where because they want it to fit in visually with The Hobbit
Yeah.
that was made 10 years later on digital cameras, they've done a lot of DNR
Yeah.
or digital noise removal. I've realized I've not put the
Yeah.
actual thing in yet, to like wipe away the grain and make it look smooth. And while that does most of the time look fine, and there's going to be a lot of people who are casually watching the movies who say it's better,
Yeah.
there's going to be some moments where characters look like they're made of plastic
Yeah.
because they've not got actual skin detail because that was in the
Yeah.
grain. And sometimes you get artifacts, like there's one shot where Gandalf's staff like disconnects
Yeah.
and just sort of like is like a ghosting image on like a few frames because the algorithm doesn't know what to do.
Now, when you take away the grain, you literally take away detail, because it's part of the image. It's there.
Yeah.
It's going to be there forever.
And I want to like also state that like the opposite isn't always better either,
Yeah.
because like just recently I've thanks to you, I've been looking at the 4K fan projects of Star
Yes.
Wars.
Yeah.
And they have a whole style where they're literally just scan-ins of the original film prints from when they released. And their whole thing is that you're supposed to look at it like it's actually in a theater.
Yeah.
Like they actually recommend you put it on like a projector
Yeah.
and watch it there. But like there's a version where there's versions where there's no DNR inputted, and it doesn't have that same sort of cleanup that
Yeah.
a professional release would, which does make it look really dirty and not quite as good as it would. Well, definitely George Lucas wouldn't want it to look, but really anyone who wants to put it on like a modern screen would, because it doesn't fit. So there's a balance there.
Yeah.
Like maybe a little. There's always going to be a little bit of DNR.
You always need to do some, just on the fact that you need to stabilize the image and then also make the image clear enough for viewing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with like the Star Wars fan projects, is like the no DNR versions are just unviewable because so much of the detail just is not clear enough to
Yeah.
be seen. Also, something like that has made it on its way on an actual like home release. With the film Labyrinth, the 4K version, because they didn't do like enough DNR to that when they were making it, the HDR causes a constant flickering because it's obviously trying to elevate the lighting level of certain elements of the grain, and because there's so much of it and the way it's moving in the image, it's constantly
That's an eyesore.
just flickering. I couldn't watch it. I turned it off.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, like it goes both ways. You kind of have to find a happy medium for something like that.
At the absolutely necessary part, on like depending on like the film, like you're actually scanning in, there's gonna be actual dirt,
Yes.
or like hair, or
Yeah.
like something from just conditions of where it was stored. So you need to clean that
Yeah.
up. I remember when they were doing, I think it was one of the Universal classic monster like collections for the 4K. I think it was Dracula.
Yeah.
They talked about how obviously very old film. They had to like do some cleanup on like the stock they had, and that meant like removing hair and stuff, and like cleaning up, and like obviously using computers to fill in some of the damage that was there, and like that's necessary.
Yeah.
But you know, too much, and you end up with, you know, Dracula looking like a Ken doll.
Yeah. It's an art in its own way, really. Like, film restoration is an art. I mean, there's also that thing of like, to bring it to anime, which this obviously show is largely about.
Tying it in.
Like, people complain about the way Dragon Ball looks on home video right now, like Dragon Ball Z in particular, but like you're never gonna get the perfect representation of it, because the film for a 291 episode show is just so unbelievably damaged at this point that like there's not a huge amount they can do. People complained that the version that's out now is cropped, and it's like, if you see the uncropped image, they had to. The edges are like
It's
fading
just too
away.
bad, yeah.
Like there's actual either burning damage or fading damage. You have to crop that out. You cannot watch a whole show with that. So you have to do it.
I'm buzzing again. I'm buzzing in. You know what that means? Is it time? Can I talk about my show?
Go for it.
So classic Doctor Who has an infamous problem of lost episodes.
Yes, junking. BBC's junking era.
Which means some things are which means a lot of episodes can't be seen anymore,
Yep.
which means for DVD releases with stories that they want to re-release, they have to reanimate. They have to take either telesnaps is what they're called, where like they're just still images of what we have left of those episodes with the audio in, or either they get, and if they can't do that, or they maybe will re-release it on like as like an audio drama or something, what they have. Anyway, point is, because even though the found episodes though, they're still on tape and they're old.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna have to do some restoration, and at a certain point, because it's a videotape, you cannot, even though they've released it on Blu-ray and they've cleaned it up to the best they can, they've added all these special features and stuff, which does make those collections worth it. The actual quality of the episodes is not gonna be that much better than the DVDs that I have some classic stories, because at the end of the day, standard definition.
Yeah. It's the thing with like BBC Blu-rays, because BBC always used tape. They maybe used some film for location shooting,
But that wasn't the best film.
that wasn't the
either.
best film either. But by and large, it was shot on tape, mastered on tape, kept on tape, because PAL 2 as well. You know, 25 frames per second, that good old bullshit.
It's not as friendly as it sounds.
Yeah, which means when you buy a BBC Blu-ray for an older show, it's real hit or miss, because some of those shows have so much effort put into them.
Oh yeah.
Red Dwarf looks fantastic on Blu-ray. Then you have something like Fawlty Towers, which kind of looks like ass.
No
Yeah,
matter
but that's
what.
part of its charm, I think.
A little
See,
bit.
that's the thing. That's also a subjective thing as well.
Yeah.
And like it very much is going to depend on what kind of person you are when you
Yeah.
view stuff. Like I love the soft fuzz of tape when it comes to older shows, but that's because, you know, one, I partly grew up with that stuff,
Yeah.
because, you know, I had to make do with VHS for like a long time as a kid, but also it just shows like what time frame it's from.
Yeah.
I'd never watched Fresh Prince if it was like somehow magically digitally made to look like it was on
Yeah.
film stock. You need that tape look.
Yeah. Actually, was Fresh Prince Shaun?
It was on
I
tape.
don't know.
You look at
Oh.
it was on tape.
I mean, yeah. It's
Yeah,
fuzzy.
all those
I'm not sure.
fuzzy soft colors, that's on tape.
Huh. I always thought it was shot on film.
Nah, that's tape.
Hmm.
Friends was on film.
Yeah.
That's
That's
Friends
why
was
you can
famous
get
on
the
35.
HD crisp
Yeah.
versions, but
And the 4K version.
well, I keep forgetting
That's a
that
show you need a 4K.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're not a real TV nerd until you've got Friends in 4K.
Yeah, drop $400 to watch it in 4K, because you
Worth
definitely see Friends.
Worth every penny for haha Joey man.
You'd see every pore on David Schwimmer's face.
Glorious.
Hey.
Yeah. That whole to go back to Doctor Who again, it goes BBC as a whole, it goes even into the digital age as well, because they weren't filming in HD
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah, that's why like I didn't really put like a time frame on it, because like it's hard to say when you can sort of trust that you're getting a decent
Yeah.
Blu-ray from the BBC because it also depends on the show for a lot of stuff. Like Doctor Who switched during the last of David Tennant's specials, but like other shows would have hung on
Absolutely, yeah.
for a while
It was
because
very
they
much
weren't.
a transitional period.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been getting the budget for it either.
No, and they couldn't get the budget for Doctor Who. That's
No.
telling you something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have the Blu-rays of like the early like Russell T Davies stuff, but that's still standard definition.
Yeah.
And like, it does look. They've upscaled it obviously, so it does look better than my DVDs that I also have. But you know, baseline, a Matt Smith era Blu-ray is gonna look way better than an
Yeah.
Eccleston.
And even if you buy the new ones, like they're not marginally different.
No, I mean, the BBC also refused to release 4K versions of the newest seasons.
Yeah.
I'm not that better. Except I really, really, really am. Hey guys, I want to talk about Doctor Who without mentioning the big fucking discourse happening right now.
Yeah.
Are you happy?
I
Yes.
thought we would have probably.
Yes.
You've been silent this whole time.
I have so much to add.
And immediately
Just
after I say that, you go, yes.
Yeah. Melina isn't really like a technological.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're an artist.
I watch it in whatever quality it comes out.
That's crazy.
I mean, to be fair, that sounds a lot easier than being
Yeah.
someone with the brain of who can pick apart this stuff and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I wish this was in better HD.
That's true. I mean, I am the one that looked at one shot in Andor and went, ooh.
You just talked about how you're annoyed at 3 scenes in a how many
Yeah.
episodes?
12.
Miniseries? Yeah.
It's just, it draws you out. Like a
if
show
it's
that's
real
so
bad,
immersive.
Yeah.
Especially Andor, like man, that
Mhm.
show. But to then just be pulled out, like fucking ascending from my own body, to be like, oh yeah, I am sitting in my bed watching
The
this
Winnie
show.
the Pooh gif
Yeah,
of like returning to the body.
it just throws you off, and like Star Wars, it's like it's just a good example because those scenes stand out more. But like, it's common and it's indicative of where the industry is at because it's in every show. I mean, I could have brought up The Boys because that also has a lot of scenes where the CG or the green screening is just not that great or not that believable. It doesn't sell either because of the lighting or whatever, but like I can sort of wave my hand away at The Boys because The Boys is a bit of a different show and a different vibe, and it's going for a different look. Whereas something like Star Wars it's like it wants to be this big pristine.
Yeah, because Star Wars is this grand sort of
Yeah.
franchise, no matter how much Disney tries to grind it into the dirt.
Yeah, man,
Watch Ahsoka.
it's a shame that Tony Gilroy just does not give a shit about Star Wars because I'd like to see him do more stuff,
Yeah.
but he's probably done. And like fair play, like
To be
don't
fair,
blame
him not
him.
giving a shit about Star Wars is probably why it was
No,
so
yeah, that's what made Andor really good. Not gonna bring up Rogue One.
I like Rogue One.
Fine.
I like the cinematography of Rogue One. 'cause
That's
I'm
not saying
I'm a
much.
sucker for Gareth Edwards cinematography.
I like the cinematography in Rise of Skywalker.
Fuck you.
But you know, I'm
Actually,
not...
the cinematography in Rise of Skywalker is okay.
Yeah, exactly. But the rest of the movie is like the worst thing I've ever seen in the theater. That's not true. I saw Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I think Rogue One's just kind of boring.
I'm not even gonna judge you for that.
Anyway, we've been talking for a while now. So yeah, this has been our rant about like where the TV and film industry is at. Talking about lighting and cameras and all that other bullshit. I'm sure people will pick up what we've said.
I wonder if it'll be coherent.
No.
Who the fuck knows?
No.
Trying to talk about motivated and unmotivated lighting's a pain in the ass, honestly.
Yeah.
The moment you bring that up, so many views left.
Everyone just went, "Oop."
Nope.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for listening to this. You're probably praying we never do it again. I don't blame you.
I hope we do this
I hope we
again.
do this
Yeah.
again.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.